to Rating the List, where we review, discuss, and reimagine popular movie lists objectively. We're your hosts. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad, and on this episode we'll be exploring number 39 from Sports Illustrated's The Top 50 Sports Movies of All Time.
All right, number 39 is The Harder They Fall, released in 1959, directed by Mark Robson, starring Humphrey Bogart and Rod Steiger.
Ex-sports journalist Eddie Willis is hired by a shady boxing promoter to help him make an Argentinian strongman into an exploitable world champion despite not being able to box.
Incredible movie.
It's really good.
Totally surprised by how good this movie was. I really didn't know anything about it going into it.
I saw it a really long time ago.
And so it was kind of a surprise, kept my interest the whole time. Like I said, I've always had problems with black and white movies. Sometimes it's hard for me to really engage in the movie. But this movie, I was totally engaged in the whole time. It's a very progressive movie of its time.
Yeah.
I think it really explores the downside of boxing, basically. After the boxing stops, their health, their mental capacity, what happens to them, people caring about that stuff and people not caring about that stuff. It was interesting because there was a character in the movie that was very passionate about boxers' mental health and what happens to them outside of the ring, and they did show actual
I think so,
documentary footage of ex-boxers being interviewed and what boxing had done to them, and how, afterwards they were just kind of left to their own devices and they didn't have any resources to help them, recuperate.
Yeah, because they're just, to these boxing promoters, that's all they are, is they're an exploitable resource.
Yep. Really well acted. Humphrey Bogart was, I would say, one of his best roles.
It's also his final role. It's this last time he's on screen.
Yeah, we've seen him in a few movies from our romance list, but I really feel like this was one of his best that I saw him in.
Yeah.
Really complex characters. He was a really good man, but he was struggling with making money and providing and being, looked at as a high in his profession.
Well, it was he was this very successful sports journalist, and then he got used up and spit out, and then he turns around and he's helping this boxing promoter exploit and spit out this really kind of simple country folk guy from Argentina whose only exploitable resource is the fact that he's very, very big and strong, but he also has no capacity to fight. He doesn't know how to box at all, and he doesn't really take a punch.
No, he can't take a punch.
He can't take a punch, so everything about this is they're setting up, they're staging every single fight that he's in by paying off the other boxer that he's in the ring with to take a fall, and he doesn't even know that they're doing this.
No.
He thinks he's a really good boxer.
Yeah.
It's he really believes that he's winning these fights. That's how good they are at throwing all these fights for him.
And then when he realizes what when he's told what is actually happened, he's like, how do I go back to my family and tell them what has happened? It's very sad. The woman, I don't know who plays his wife, Humphrey Bogart's wife, but she was great. She was really, I really liked how they built out her character. She wasn't just this woman at home, oh, my husband,
she had her, it seemed they didn't really go into it, but it seemed like she had her own career.
She had her own career, and she really did not like what her husband was doing at all. And she's like, look, I don't like what this is doing to you.
She's basically going to leave him.
She's going to leave him because she's like, if you continue to live your life this way, I'm done, and so she was really good in the movie, and she stuck to her guns. She didn't give up, she really was committed to what she was saying to him.
And she really only takes him back once he kind of goes against what he was doing and decides to basically write a story, the harder they fall, where he's gonna outline exactly all the things that the boxing world, he's basically going to expose all the things that he has seen and participated in.
Yep. What was so cool is that this whole movie focuses on the dark underbelly of sports, really. Cheating, gambling, racism, classism, integrity, greed, interesting storylines, actually about making a star out of nothing and power of the media, which is basically, we've seen that in our generation.
Pretty timely these days.
Yeah, we've seen that quite a bit, actually, and how media can really just
make or break you,
and then...
Or make you, then break you.
Yeah, which is what this case was, right? But yeah, I mean, it's insane to think that what some people can get away with in life, because of how the media portrays them. I mean, we learn about these actors or celebrities that have turned out to do some pretty horrific things to people. And you're always like, oh my God, I wouldn't have thought. Oh my God, I can't believe it. But it's like, can you not believe it? I mean, we're all human. And yeah, sometimes people are douchebags. And so it's like, that's what happens. But that's how the media is. It builds these people up, these personas of people who that's probably not even who they are, Yeah, a lot of interesting things happening in this movie. And the guy that was, I don't know if he was his manager. The guy who was pretty much instigating the whole thing. The promoter. He was just relentless of getting money. He was cheating everybody out of their money.
Yeah, they do this final accounting on what they owe this guy after 30 fights, and it's is it $2.58 or something
like that?
Ridiculous.
Horrible.
And it's just how do you even live with yourself where you're gonna pay this person basically the equivalent of 10 cents a day?
Yeah, and then there's an instance where the boxer plays or fights another boxer who's really not in any good shape to box.
He's a former champion, but in his last fight he sustained an injury that could potentially cripple him for life. And everyone kind of knows it, and they still he still gets in the ring anyway to fight. Yeah. It's so bad.
It's really bad, and he ends up killing him. Right? Yeah, he ends up, they're all at the hospital to see how this guy is doing, and it turns out that he dies. And his promoter, the boxer's promoter, is let's exploit this. You're here, you're sympathizing for him, and it's this, he feels terrible. He just killed another human being, It's
and he thinks he doesn't know anything about this other injury. So he thinks this was fully out of his hands. Yeah. And it wasn't just, it didn't matter who this guy was fighting, this was going to happen.
Yeah. And, Humphrey Bogart's character throughout this whole thing is just really trying to,
He's trying to keep his soul while doing all this stuff.
Yeah, and it just doesn't work.
There's no way for him to be able to do it, and he just kind of and his wife points this out time and time again to him.
Yeah, really, really good movie.
It's really good.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay.
I gave it a 75. Jerry gave it an 83, so the list score is 79.
All right. If you've seen this movie and you would like to tell us what your thoughts on it, please do so in the comments. If you'd like to contact us directly, please do so at ratingthelist@gmail.com. But I think that's it for now. I'm Jerry.
I'm Brad.
And we're Rating the List. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.